Kim Schmidt, and today is the first episode of the podcast Express It Here. What is this podcast about? Well, I would like to have a civil discourse and discussion about social justice issues, about climate change issues, and anything that's culturally relevant. So it's basically an open forum with an emphasis on sustainability and diversity, because diversity is what gives us strength. Because if we lose one thing, we won't lose the whole thing. Basically, that concept. So, who am I? I'm a citizen just like you out there who would like to basically just foster a conversation and put out some thinking points about what is, in my eyes, relevant and urgent to address, and maybe address some angles that I don't see addressed in the mainstream media. So I have a background in environmental studies and sciences. I have a education at the level of about a master's degree, but I have a BA, BS in environmental studies / sciences. I worked for different state and county government agencies in the capacity of water quality and just mitigation, environmental mitigation, and then also later had a son in life in my mid-40s and decided to get a teaching certificate K through 12. So in about 2006, I decided to start being in the schools as a substitute teacher, and then got my teaching certificate. And currently I am basically semi-retired from that, but I love working with young people. And the one thing that I'm hoping to do next year, well, I'm not just hoping to do it, I'm going to go into our local school in Busan, Montana, where I live, and I'm going to hope to recruit some kids that want to work on environmental and sustainable topics, and see if we can get the community involved as well. Another group that I want to point out that's really very important in our community is the Flathead Lakers. We are a group that protects our beautiful, clean freshwater lake. That's the biggest freshwater lake west of the Mississippi. It is just a fabulous, beautiful, clean lake. And right now we're also concerned about invasion of zebra and quagga mussels, so we are monitoring any vessels that go in and out of the water, because if you just have, just the larvae on there, they can start contaminating the water and displace all the native species. So we have that water quality issue, but we also have the issue of growth along our lake. And the other topic that I really want to discuss with everyone out there who's interested, or some things that I want to bring to light, if you're not a participant with me that calls in or writes or makes comments, then it's plastics. We just recently had the Inc. 5.1, I think is what they have, which means that is the Intergovernmental Negotiating Committee on Plastics, and they've had the fifth one, and they haven't made much progress. So I'm going to give you some statistics that are probably going to blow your mind, because they're pretty making you want to take a note. So for example, 99% of plastics come from fossil fuels, but 99%, okay? 1/3 of the Earth's remaining carbon budget would be used in the next 20 years for plastic production. Like, really? I mean, here's what we need to curb. We need plastics for medical, in medicine, all the tubing and that. If you feed IVs, all of these different things, they need in surgery. But what I think is we need to really consider and start thinking about single-use plastics. And for example, what I'd like to do with my youth group is to challenge the community at large, the businesses that are using containers, to go containers and whatnot, to spend a few more cents and use something that is socially more responsible, quite frankly. Okay, so some other statistics about plastics. Despite stagnant demand and an oversaturated market, there have been 1,400 new plastic projects proposed, okay, between now and 2027. Now, why in the hell are we doing that when we're trying to curb plastic consumption? That to me is a total unable to understand topic. So, production is to triple in the next, what is it, 20 years or something, with these projects coming online that they have. Okay, here's another statistic, of 16,000 chemicals used in plastics, 4,200 are known to pose serious health and environmental environmental hazards, so those kind of damages, and they're linked to miscarriage, obesity, diabetes, and cancer, and more. Okay, so you've got 4,200 chemicals out there floating around. Nobody really knows. They all know it's bad for us, but who cares? Okay, and meanwhile, we got the plastic mountains stacking up everywhere. Everybody knows about this. And we don't have 10 years to discuss this. We need to really make some commitments and some decisions, and we need the public to pressure the people that are negotiating this. 10,000 of these chemicals, by the way, out of these 16,000 chemicals, they lack adequate data, and pose unknown dangers to us. So those are just a few of the statistics. The fact that we're going to use 1/3 of our carbon fossil fuel budget for plastics in the next 20 years. I think we could do better things with that. As we're converting, we need to use our available carbon budget for, fossil fuel budget for the conversion, and not for these frivolous things as single-use plastics. Another thing they're talking about is that the petrochemical and plastic markets are actually facing mounting economic challenges because of the overcapacity that's worsening of the plastics. The sustainable investments are gaining momentum, as they should, and regulatory pressures are tightening. So despite stagnant demand and an oversaturated market, more than 1,400, I told you this, new plastic production projects are supposed to come online by 2027. What an oxymoron for them to have this summit to try to ban plastics, and then you have these kind of statistics. I mean, to me, that's like insanity, But these are the facts, and this is what we have to face. And I hope that these kind of numbers actually make people take note and say, okay, something here is like completely off the balance. So so this summit was in South Korea, Busan, and they met from November 25th to December 2nd of this year, and have basically decided these things, what they think is important. So what the world needs, what we're setting out our sights on. 1, a cap on plastic production with binding national targets. 2, a ban on toxic chemicals of concern. 3, trade measures that address non-parties. 4, governance mechanisms that avoid consensus. And 5, innovative financial mechanisms. And that's what we're setting our sights on, is what they're saying in this summit. What are they keeping our eyes out for? These are things that are negative, okay? Delayed tactics, industry influence, compromise for speed, and Trump's influence on the treaty, quite frankly, because he When he says to the people, when Trump says, oh, we're going to get rid of all these regulations, that's not such a thing to cheer about, because what he's also saying is the regulations are keeping us safe, okay? We have regulations for safety reasons. Yes, I will agree that there is a lot of bureaucracy out there that stagnates a process that could be a productive process of some sort. But regulations are also in place so that we don't abuse our resources or our people that are involved with the harvesting and basically mining of resources. So, those are some things. What I'm going to do is I am going to post a link or two that you can click on and then go directly to these talking points and statistics that I've just mentioned about plastics. And so what really this forum is for, this Express It Here, is for you to come and talk about things that concern you or you'd like to say something about. I am not looking to become monetized or have a million viewers. I think that would be great, because I think what I'm talking about is important for all of us, but it's not about that for me. It's about establishing community and connecting our environmental and social justice groups and anything that's culturally relevant. So that is my little introduction for today, and my goal is to visit with you once a week. I should have my broadcast ready for you to watch by 3 p.m. on every Thursday. Today is basically just the introduction, and I want to invite you to share in the information and in the discussion. So I have a couple of different ways that you can do that. There's a Express It Here on Instagram. I also have a Facebook, Express It Here, and then I have an email. And I will give you all of that. I'm going to have a text box, and I'm going to put that on at the end of the show. So thanks for tuning in. So in closing, any suggestions that you have, I would be more than happy to take a look at. And of course, any input, I'm very open to. I will say right now that if you are going to be inappropriate in any comments or just kind of heckling, and I think they call it trolling, I'm just going to ignore all of that. So you can do that, but I'm not going to spend much time in replying to anything like that. So I hope that this has been somewhat valuable, and I hope we can have a nice community discussion as time goes on. Also wanted to let you know there's a really cool documentary that'll really make you sit up and think, and it's called Buy Sell. Buy, B-U-Y, Sell, S-E-L-L, and it's available on Netflix, and it basically examines our consumer habits and what that really means. Our consumption, needs to be, we need to start thinking more about what we're doing and not blindly just doing all these things without knowing the outcome later on, without taking that into consideration at all. There has to be some sort of thought given into our actions prior to us actually employing them. I find a lot of times people find something, it works, it's cheap, it's good, okay, let's do it. But nobody thinks about down the road. And this, to me, coming from Europe originally, is a very typical thing that a newer nation does. Everything is a go, and there isn't a lot of lessons from the past yet that anybody wants to look at in order not to repeat the same mistakes. So anyway, thank you again for coming to listen to my introduction. And my name is Kim Schmidt, and I'm really happy to be your hostess. I hope to be having the Express It Here podcast, like I said, every Thursday afternoon by around 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. The link should be ready, and I invite you to come and participate, suggest things, and let's have a civil discourse and have a discussion about sustainable topics and climate justice issues, which are social justice issues, really. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day or evening, whichever the case may be.